What's up, everybody? It's your friend Leo Francis here, and welcome back to episode 5 of Nothing Tastes Sweeter Than Nostalgia. You know, with it having been a relatively cold spring, I am really starting to get excited for those warmer weather months ahead. And one of the things that actually got me excited was the other day hearing this song blaring through the crisp afternoon air in my neighborhood. That's right, the ice cream truck is back. And that little jingle really got me thinking about one of the best summer treats around, ice cream. So, tonight I'll be dedicating an entire episode to frozen treats. Okay, so first up, I'll be tasting and reviewing two more of the viral Hongqi fruit-shaped ice creams from China. I'll also be tasting and reviewing all of the new Kellogg cereals and Eggo waffles flavored ice creams. Then I'll be bringing you some insane updates in the world of Wendy's Frosties, and finally, I'll be running down 5 of my all-time favorite treats from the ice cream truck. So, grab some cash and throw on your flip-flops, because we've got an ice cream truck to catch. And without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so here we are. It is late April, and that cold weather is still just hanging on as long as it possibly can. But that has not stopped the junk food gods from bestowing a ton of new frozen treats upon us. So today I wanted to start it off by just tasting a few of those. So I'll be running down the new ice cream flavors from Kellogg's cereals and Eggo waffles, as well as tasting a few more of these viral fruit-shaped ice creams from China. If you tuned into episode 3, then you saw me taste the viral peach ice cream, which I found to be sublime, but can these other flavors live up to the hype? That is what I am here to find out, so let's get into it. Okay, so let's start it off with the propitious lemon ice cream. Apparently the word propitious means having a good chance at success, so let's hope this lemon ice cream is as successful as the peach. And on a separate note, I just want to say I still can't get over how good these viral fruit-shaped ice creams look. I mean, the attention to detail here is just stunning. But now, let's see if this is as packed with real fruit flavor as the peach ice cream was. Okay, here is what it looks like. I cannot get over how realistic that is. Now, let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Hmm. Hmm. Not really getting any citrus or lemon flavor at all. Okay, well, I have to say that while I am still blown away by the visual presentation, when it comes to the flavor, this is massively underwhelming. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I can't taste anything even remotely resembling lemon or citrus whatsoever in this. I mean, this tastes like straight up vanilla ice cream with a white chocolate shell. And don't get me wrong, it's a delicious vanilla ice cream, but if you are going into this expecting even a hint of lemon flavor, you are going to be seriously let down. So I'm going to give this 1 out of 5 stars because, frankly, this tastes more like disappointment than it does lemon. And that's just being real with you. Moving on. Okay, so up next we have the Hongqi Propitious Mango Ice Cream. I saved this one for last because of all of these fruit flavors, mango happens to be my personal favorite. I'm just a tropical fruit kind of dude. So I am really hoping that this is more like the peach and not a complete letdown like the lemon. But that is what I'm here to find out. So let's get into it. Okay, here is what it looks like. Look at that attention to detail. I mean, stunning. But now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Mmm. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I am happy to report that this is much closer to the peach than it is to the lemon. In fact, I think this one actually might be my favorite so far. The flavor here just tastes so natural. It feels like it could have been made from a freshly cut mango. I mean, it's ripe, it's juicy, it's sweet, and it is absolutely delicious. And the way the velvety texture of the ice cream complements and elevates that tropical sweetness into pure, creamy deliciousness is utter perfection. So I'm going to give this 5 out of 5 stars. This one is absolutely worth the hype. I found these at H Mart, but you should be able to find them at any of your local Asian grocery stores, though they are popular and for good reason. So don't be surprised if they are sold out. Moving on. Now, as you may or may not be aware, Kellogg's recently introduced a new line of ice cream flavors based on their most popular cereals, and as an absolute junkie for all things breakfast cereal, I have been dying to try these. So today, I'll be tasting, rating, and ranking all 6 flavors. So, let's get into it. Okay, for the first flavor, let's try Frosted Flakes. Cheers. Mm. Mm. Okay. Okay, so while I am really enjoying the flavor here, I have to say this is definitely not what I was expecting. First and foremost, the flavor of the Frosted Flakes is extremely subtle and comes from a mix of finely ground cereal and the actual ice cream. But for my money, that flavor is just not forward enough. And on top of that, I think they would have benefited from having larger chunks of the actual cereal itself for a little variety of texture. But all in all, this is still pretty tasty. So I'm going to give this 3.5 out of 5 stars. And at least for now, it's ranking number 1. Moving on. Okay, up next, the Corn Pops. Cheers. Mm. Okay, well, this is pretty similar to the Frosted Flakes in that this is basically just finely ground corn pops in a carton of regular ice cream with absolutely no bells or whistles whatsoever. And while it is also relatively tasty, if I'm being honest, I don't think I'd go back for a second carton of this. So, I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 stars. And for now, this one ranks number 2. Moving on. Okay, next up, Fruit Loops. Okay, here goes. Cheers. Mmm. Mmm. Okay. Okay. That's more like it. Mhm. Wow. Okay, so this one is similar to the previous 2 flavors I've already tasted in that it gets its signature flavor from adding ground cereal pieces to the ice cream, but unlike the previous 2 flavors I tasted here, the taste of the cereal really gets the opportunity to shine and is nicely balanced by the creaminess of the base. Again, I would have loved some bigger chunks of the actual cereal itself for a little variety of texture, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. So I'd give this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I would move this one into the number 1 slot. Moving on. Okay, next up, Apple Jacks. Okay, now this one looks extremely promising. It looks very similar to the Fruit Loops, but this one has actual swirls throughout it. Now, see how it tastes. Cheers. Mmm. 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 Mm-hmm. Wow. Bro. Seriously? Well, goddamn. I was not expecting that. To be honest, I thought that this was going to be my least favorite flavor, but I stand corrected because the apple cinnamon flavor from the ground Apple Jacks is in perfect balance with the creamy sweetness of the cereal milk ice cream and the deep, rich flavor you get from that swirl of cinnamon brown sugar definitely puts this a cut above the rest. So I'd give this a perfect 5 out of 5 stars and slide it right in at number 1. Easily my favorite of the lot so far, and we still have 2 to go. Moving on. Okay, next up, Honey Smacks. Okay, admittedly, I can't help but have high hopes for this one because I've always had a soft spot for Honey Smacks. But now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Okay. Hmm. Okay, well, I am sad to say, but this one is just plain disappointing. I mean, this doesn't taste like Honey Smacks at all. In fact, it doesn't taste like anything. It just has this vague, generic sweetness to it, you know? And while I guess on its own it's relatively tasty, if you're going into this expecting the flavor of Honey Smacks, you are definitely going to be disappointed. So I'm going to give this 2 out of 5 stars and slide it into dead last place. Moving on. Okay, and finally, Rice Krispies Treats. Okay, so I saved what I thought would be my favorite for last. By now, I'm sure you all know that I am a certified marshmallow junkie, so as I'm sure you can imagine, a marshmallow flavored ice cream filled with chunks of Rice Krispie Treats seems like it should be right up my alley, but now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this one is definitely a winner for me. That marshmallow ice cream beautifully captures the flavor of marshmallow fluff, and the addition of the Rice Krispies Treats chunks adds a nice pop of taste and texture. If I had one small complaint, I will say that the Rice Krispies Treats chunks are few and far between, and if you want to call this Rice Krispies Treats ice cream, I think you need to get more Rice Krispies Treats in there. Either way, this one is still nearly perfect. So I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely delicious and highly recommended. Okay, which means my final ranking is, in 6th place, Honey Smacks. In 5th place, Corn Pops. In 4th place, Frosted Flakes. In 3rd place, we've got Fruit Loops. In 2nd place, Rice Krispies Treats. And in 1st place, we have Apple Jacks. I did not see that one coming. And yeah, there you have it. Okay, so similar to the Kellogg's cereal flavored ice creams that I just tasted, Eggo Waffles has just released a new line of ice cream and ice cream sandwiches based on their 3 most popular flavors: buttery maple, blueberry, and chocolate chip. The ice cream contains chunks of waffle flavored cookies, whereas the ice cream sandwiches feature waffle flavored cookies on either side. Now, as both a lifelong fan of Eggo waffles and someone who grew up eating Belgian waffles with ice cream every time we went to the boardwalk, this is a flavor combination that is etched into my heart and memories forever. So I will be extremely curious to see if they are able to capture some of that magic with these. And yeah, without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, well, I can't think of a better way to kick it off than with the OG itself. The original Eggo waffles flavored with butter and maple syrup. Okay, here goes. Cheers. Mm. 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 Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. This is fantastic. I mean, this is literally bursting with real Eggo waffle flavor. Not to mention, it has actual swirls of molasses and chunks of what tastes like crunchy pieces of waffle throughout. I mean, this one is definitely a winner for me, so I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely delicious, highly recommended, and man, what a great way to kick this off. Moving on. Okay, next up, I was only able to find the chocolate chip flavor available in the ice cream sandwiches, but that's okay because I wanted to try both anyways. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the only major difference here is that instead of crunchy waffle flavored cookies throughout the ice cream, this one features two crunchy waffle flavored cookies on either side. This is what it looks like. But now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay. Okay, wow. So these are also extremely tasty and do a really good job of capturing that signature chocolate chip Eggo waffle flavor with just a little added texture from those mini chocolate chips. And I am loving these crunchy waffle cookies they're using because you get this nice subdued maple flavor from it, but texturally, let's face it, actual frozen waffles would have been inedible. And I think this gives you the best of both worlds because you're getting all of the flavor from a waffle, but you're getting the consistency of a chipwich. So I'm also going to give these 4.5 out of 5 stars. Another absolute winner for me. Moving on. Okay, well, last but hopefully not least, the blueberry Eggo waffle flavor in an ice cream sandwich. And considering that blueberry is my favorite flavor of Eggo waffles and the other two were already just so delicious, I must admit I have high hopes. But now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Mmm. Mmm. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, that's it. My God, that is freaking insane. I mean, I am happy to report that this one does not disappoint because that ice cream is literally packed with blueberry Eggo waffle flavor, which I know is a very specific flavor, but somehow they have managed to recreate it perfectly. It's uncanny. And these crunchy waffle cookies are absolutely the perfect complement here. This is far and away my favorite of the three, and believe me, I have loved all of these. So I'm going to give this a perfect 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely delicious and highly recommended. Yeah. Okay, so you can't really go wrong with any of these flavors, though blueberry is my favorite, with chocolatey chip and buttery maple in a dead heat for second place. Frankly, I think they're all worth a taste, so if you see them out there in the wild, I would absolutely recommend picking them up. And bonus, if you can find them in the ice cream sandwiches, because I think that really took it to a whole other level. And yeah, there you have it. Okay, so up next, in some ice cream related news, Wendy's has finally taken their Frosty game to the next level with the release of 3 new permanent flavors: caramel, strawberry, and brownie batter. And what's exciting about that is that these new flavors are in the form of a puree that can be added to your standard chocolate or vanilla Frosty, much like the Thin Mint flavor from just a few weeks ago. Now, last year when Wendy's released the SpongeBob Pineapple Under the Sea Frosty featuring a pineapple mango puree, I said something like, okay, so as you can kind of see here, it's really just a Wendy's vanilla Frosty with a pineapple mango syrup throughout. And I just have to say that I'm not sure if this is the first time Wendy's is trying this formula with their Frosties, but if this works, this opens up endless possibilities for new flavors. So that's pretty exciting. And now they're finally doing it. So to celebrate, I'll be tasting and ranking all 6 new flavors. And without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, well, let's start it off with the new caramel flavor paired with a traditional chocolate Frosty. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, while this is tasty enough, for my money, the flavor of the chocolate Frosty here is completely overpowering the flavor of the caramel to the point where I'm barely even noticing it. So, it seems almost unnecessary. So I'll give this 2.5 out of 5 stars. Moving on. Okay, up next, the caramel flavor with the vanilla Frosty. Cheers. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There it is. Okay, so this one is also extremely tasty, but again, my complaint here is that I'm just not really tasting the caramel. You know, it's just getting overpowered by the flavor of the Frosty. And frankly, if I'm gonna order a caramel Frosty, I'd definitely like to taste a little more caramel. So I'm gonna give this 2.5 out of 5 stars as well. Moving on. Okay, next up, the new strawberry flavor paired with the chocolate Frosty. Cheers. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's more like it. Okay, now we are talking because here I can actually taste the strawberry puree and it blends beautifully with that Frosty. I mean, this basically tastes like a chocolate covered strawberry in the form of a Wendy's Frosty, and believe me, it is absolutely delicious. 3.5 out of 5. Moving on. Okay, now on to the strawberry puree with the vanilla Frosty. Okay, cheers. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really, really good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that is absolutely delicious. I think this actually might be my favorite so far because while I definitely enjoyed the flavor combination of the chocolate and strawberry, the way that strawberry flavor pops against the vanilla Frosty is something truly special. 4 out of 5 stars. Moving on. Okay, next up, the new brownie batter flavor in the chocolate Frosty. Here we go. Cheers. Mmm. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it. Okay, here we go. Let me just tell you something. That brownie batter flavor is on a whole other level. I mean, it tastes exactly like real brownie batter, all the way down to the grainy texture and everything. And the way that it pairs with the ice cream from a Wendy's Frosty is absolutely delicious. So, I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Absolutely delicious, highly recommended. Moving on. Okay, last but hopefully not least, the brownie batter flavor in the Wendy's Vanilla Frosty. Let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Cheers. Mmm. Mm-hmm. 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 We have a winner. Okay, so this is far and away my favorite flavor out of all of them. That brownie batter is so fire, and that vanilla frosty really allows it to be the star of the show, which it deserves to be. So I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely delicious and highly recommended. Which means my final ranking is in 6th place, the caramel chocolate frosty. In 5th place, the caramel vanilla frosty. In 4th place, the strawberry chocolate frosty. In 3rd place, the brownie batter chocolate frosty. In 2nd place, the strawberry vanilla frosty. And in the top spot, the brownie batter vanilla frosty. Cheers. Okay, my thoughts here are that the Wendy's traditional chocolate frosty is pretty much perfect as is and doesn't really need anything extra to shine. But when it comes to the Wendy's vanilla frosty, while delicious in its own right, it also provides a really nice base for other flavors to stand out. So personally, I think I prefer the new flavor pairings with the vanilla base, but that's just me. Which of these flavor pairings are you excited about, and have you gotten to taste any of these yet? Let me know in the comments. Okay, and in an exciting follow-up to this first piece of news, in just a few short weeks, Wendy's will also be rolling out a new line of Frosty Fusions, which pair the traditional Frosty base with one of these new flavored purees as well as an added topping. This is also similar to the Thin Mint Frosty from just a few weeks ago, which featured a chocolate swirl and crumbled Thin Mint cookies. Now, the 3 new flavors will be Caramel Crunch, Strawberry Pop-Tart, and Oreo Brownie Crunch. And these can be paired with either the standard chocolate or vanilla Frosty. These should be available starting May 12th, so get excited because we don't have long to wait. Okay, so as you've heard me say before, my memories of my childhood are inextricably linked to the TV shows, movies, video games, comic books, and junk food I was consuming at the time. And one of the things I love so much about revisiting these things from my past is that sometimes something as simple as a taste, or a sound, or a smell can be like opening a little time capsule that instantly transports me right back to simpler times in my life. Now, I live relatively close to an elementary school, and now that the weather is getting warmer, the ice cream truck stays cruising my neighborhood in the afternoons, and just hearing that little jingle playing really gets my mouth watering like I'm one of Pavlov's dogs, because it gets me thinking about back when I was a kid, running after the ice cream truck, and of all of the delicious frozen treats I fell in love with over the years. So, today, I thought I'd recount my top 5 favorite snacks from the ice cream truck. So, let's get started. Okay, so the first item on my list is a little bit of a cheat because it's actually 2 different items, but hear me out. 2 of my go-to favorites from the ice cream truck are actually the exact same popsicle, just in different shapes. I mean, they're even both baseball themed. I'm speaking, of course, of Screwballs and Bubble Play. Now, if you never got the chance to try either of these, first let me just say that you missed out. Both of these are cherry-flavored ice pops served with a gumball. The Screwball, which has been around since sometime in the 70s, was served in a plastic cone with the gumball way at the bottom, whereas the Bubble Play was a popsicle in the shape of a baseball mitt with the gumball made to look like a baseball stuck to the front. 2 very, very different popsicles, but essentially flavor-wise, completely interchangeable. I loved these so much because the texture was somewhere right in between an ice pop and ice cream, so it was super refreshing and almost reminded me texturally of those classic Jell-O gelatin pops, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, I think I preferred the Screwball most of the time because, frankly, as a kid, I hated getting messy, and that plastic cone ensured that it wouldn't melt all over your hands. Plus, it forced you to save the gumball for the end, which, in my opinion, is the appropriate time to start chewing gum, after you've eaten your ice cream. But sometimes the mood would strike me to change it up, and let me tell you, Bubble Play not only offers a fun shape, but the gumball on the front of Bubble Play is much bigger than the one that you'd get at the bottom of a Screwball. Either way, both of these are insanely delicious and really refreshing on a hot summer's day. Sadly, it seems both of these have been discontinued, and I, for one, think it's time we bring them out of retirement. I mean, you could sell these at baseball games, at very least, If you don't think these would sell out of every ballpark in America all summer long, then clearly you've never tasted one, because let me tell you something. These are a summer treat that are not to be forgotten. Okay, next up were these. Originally introduced in 1987, WWF Superstars ice cream bars. That's right, long before the WWF changed its name to the WWE, these frozen delicacies arrived at the height of Hulkamania and started an epic run of dominating the competition from other ice cream bars. These featured a generous helping of vanilla ice cream sandwiched in between a piece of solid chocolate and a cookie with one of the WWF's biggest superstars printed on top, with the likes of Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, The Ultimate Warrior, and Andre the Giant, plus many, many more. Okay, so admittedly, my interest in the WWF peaked around 1990 when I watched my favorite wrestler of all time, The Ultimate Warrior, take down Hulk Hogan to unite both championship belts. That's my favorite match of all time, and believe me, I was a fan during the golden era of wrestling, so I've definitely seen some classics, but when it comes down to it, WrestleMania 6 was definitely the height of my professional wrestling fandom, and I think that's because it's the first time I actually got to watch one of those events happen live. I mean, I wasn't at the event, but I got to watch it on pay-per-view. And before that, it was always just finding out, way after the fact, secondhand, or you'd read about it in WWF magazine. But, getting to find out about it firsthand as it was happening was something completely different. And what's wild is me getting to watch WrestleMania that year was a complete fluke. Now, if I recall correctly, that was actually the first year that WrestleMania appeared on pay-per-view, and believe me, my family did not have pay-per-view money, so I kind of just figured I'd read about it in a few weeks in WWF magazine like I usually did, and that was the end of it. But that Sunday, I was visiting my dad's house for the weekend, and early afternoon, right around the time the first match would have been starting, on a whim, I kind of just cruised by the pay-per-view channels. Even though I knew they'd be coming in all fuzzy, I was really kind of just hoping I could hear what was happening. And lo and behold, when I got there, that feed was coming in clear as day. And frankly, I was afraid to do anything. You know, I was afraid to change the channel. I was afraid to turn it off. I was afraid to even move too much. So I just sat there, rooted to the spot with a smile plastered to my face, and watched WrestleMania from beginning to end, and believe me, it was glorious. I also just want to give a special shout out to my dad, who really showed me that day what it was to be a patient and understanding father, because I am sure that sitting around and watching me watch WrestleMania was not what he had planned for that Sunday. In fact, he had to have me back home, which was a 90-minute round trip away, and yet still at 9 p.m., he sat there patiently waiting as I begged for just a little more time to watch the end of that final match. And I remember when the Ultimate Warrior finally surprise pinned Hulk Hogan, I leapt up off that couch and hugged the hell out of that man. So, thank you for that, Dad.
Am I on? I don't think so. I must be on. The answer's to end the break. Champ in for the ride. There's that big boot we've seen so many times. That's it. Whoa. Warrior with still some energy left. The big splash. 1, 2. And history was made as the Skydome in Toronto at WrestleMania 6 as the Ultimate Warrior became the reigning World Wrestling Federation champion. If you think 68,000 people are screaming there, wait till you hear 75 at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis on April 5th for WrestleMania 8. Look at the Hulkster. The reign has come to an end like it will at WrestleMania 8. You don't see him.
Now, that next day, I marched into school with a huge grin on my face because I had made notes, and I was ready to recount the entirety of WrestleMania 6 to my classmates as they sat by, riveted. It was an absolutely amazing day, and later, when I got home and the ice cream truck came by and I ordered my WWF Superstars ice cream bar, I opened it to find none other than the Ultimate Warrior staring back at me. And I thought that that was poetic because, frankly, when it came to WrestleMania 6, we were both winners. Anyways, whether or not you were a fan of the WWF didn't really matter because, frankly, these ice cream bars were so delicious that branding was always secondary and merely an added bonus for those of us who did enjoy the WWF. Now, I know they brought these back for a limited run around WrestleMania just a few years ago, but if I'm being honest, I'd like to see them back on a permanent basis, and I don't even watch wrestling anymore, so that's how absolutely delicious these things were. R.I.P.
Ooh, yeah, dig it, yeah.
Okay, my next selection is the classic Good Humor Strawberry Shortcake Pop. If I'm being honest, I was truly torn between this and the Good Humor Chocolate Eclair because both were in regular rotation from me. But when I really thought about which one I would pick if I could only choose one, it would have to be the Strawberry Shortcake. First introduced in 1992, the Strawberry Shortcake Pop featured a strawberry ice cream center surrounded by a thin layer of vanilla ice cream before being coated in crushed vanilla sandwich cookies and crumbled strawberry cake pieces. Now, not only was this absolutely delicious, but there was something about that outer coating that was so satisfying that it truly cemented this popsicle's status as a thing of legend. Or at least in my school. Now, these were not just popular when the ice cream truck came around. We actually had a vending machine in my high school that sold ice cream, and this was one of 3 selections and always the first one to sell out. I remember one time seeing this kid in my class buying one of these for his girlfriend, and I said to myself, wow, he must really love her, you know? And at the time I thought, That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard of. Now, they actually never stopped making these, but as is the case with many nostalgic junk foods, the recipe has changed over the years. And based on the reviews I'm seeing, it does seem like the existing version pales in comparison to the OG. But what kind of a friend or junk food specialist would I be if I didn't taste for myself and report back to all you fine people? So I tracked down a box of these, and now let's see how they hold up. Okay, so here it is. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it definitely looks like it's missing the coating in some areas, which is unfortunate, but now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Okay, well, I am happy to report that flavor-wise, these still absolutely pop. That strawberry flavor is bold and well-balanced by the vanilla ice cream and vanilla sandwich cookies. And while the texture of that outer coating is still extremely satisfying, I was disappointed to learn that there wasn't quite enough of it to go around. So, I'd give these 3 out of 5 stars. Still extremely tasty. They just don't hit quite as hard as they did back in the day. And yeah, there you have it. Okay, up next was an ice cream cone that felt like an upgraded version of the classic Nestle's drumstick. I'm speaking, of course, of the King Cone. Now, I believe the original version was created by Good Humor in order to compete with Nestle's drumstick, but eventually Nestle released their own version as well, and let me tell you something, both of these were insanely delicious. This took all of the elements of the classic drumstick and improved upon them. It made it less messy, as it wasn't completely coated in chocolate and chopped nuts. Plus, you could peel back the paper just a little bit at a time, so it wasn't melting all over your hands. But more importantly, it had way more ice cream. You know, I mean, there's so much ice cream in this, you would consume what felt like half a carton before you even got to the cone. And then you felt like you had a whole other treat ahead of you. You know? I mean, this was the ice cream equivalent of sitting there eating one of those giant turkey legs. This is the very definition of excess and was always one of my personal favorites. Now, admittedly, while this was one of my favorites, I definitely didn't order this one as often as some of the others, because even at a young age, I realized that eating a ton of dairy in the blazing sun is not necessarily a recipe for success when you are trying to pace yourself for an entire day at the pool. So I had to pick my spots, but I definitely ate these often enough that I remember the exact taste and texture, right down to the way the consistency of the waffle cone would change when it started to get soggy. Now, it would appear that Good Humor still makes these, but unfortunately, I was unable to track one down anywhere near me. On the other hand, I was able to locate Nestle's version of the King Cone, and today, I'm going to see if it still hits. Because as I recall, this was the most gluttonous and decadent thing a kid could possibly order from the ice cream truck. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. So, this is what it looked like. Really brings back memories, doesn't it? Now, let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Okay, so that is every bit as delectable as I remembered. The combination of vanilla and chocolate is a classic flavor pairing that is just undeniable, and the added crunch you get from the crushed peanuts and waffle cone is extremely satisfying. Just an absolutely delicious mix of tastes and textures that really takes me back. Though I will say, it feels a little bit smaller than I remembered. Or maybe I'm just a little bit bigger. Either way, I'm still going to give this 4 out of 5 stars. Absolutely delicious and highly recommended. Okay, and finally, my number 1 all-time favorite frozen treat from the ice cream truck should come as no surprise if you've been following this channel for some time. Originally released in 1989 by Blue Bunny were these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Pops. These represented a long line of frozen treats in the shape of cartoon characters' faces, which included Spider-Man, the Pink Panther, and Sonic the Hedgehog, but frankly, of all the cartoon characters available, there were only 4 that ever mattered to me. Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello, and I literally begged for one of these every time I even heard that little jingle start to play. Now, in regards to the flavor and texture, the Ninja Turtles popsicles are extremely similar to the Bubble Play. A cherry-flavored ice pop with some other fruit flavors added in, and gumballs for eyes. Texturally speaking, these were also very similar to the Jell-O gelatin pops from back in the day, somewhere in between an ice pop and ice cream, and while they were similar to the Bubble Play and countless other popsicles in the shape of cartoon characters' faces, never doubt the almighty power of brand recognition, because I would have told you with absolute certainty that these Ninja Turtles popsicles somehow just tasted better. And for me, they did. These popsicles were so refreshing on a hot day, and there was always that moment of excitement when you would rip open the package to see which turtle you had gotten. Donatello was always my personal favorite, but frankly, I was happy with any of the four because, let's face it, I'm just a sucker for all things Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And in my hierarchy of TMNT-themed junk foods, I think I'd put these popsicles right behind the Hostess vanilla pudding pies, because that's how absolutely delicious these things are. Now, it may surprise you to learn that these are actually still around, just not as readily available. They have them in an updated design with a more current version of the animated turtles, but some trucks still offer the classic design. They're just incredibly rare, as I said. So, while I was not able to locate one to taste today, I will definitely be on the lookout in the future. Anyway, overall, this was just an absolutely delicious way to beat the heat, and because of my obsession with all things Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, became my official go-to selection from the ice cream truck for years on end. What can I say other than cowabunga, dudes? Okay, now I know I said top 5, but there's just one more frozen treat that I couldn't leave off this list because of how much I love it and the fact that it was created right here in the city of Philadelphia. So, my honorable mention goes to the legendary Choco Taco from Klondike. That's right, in 1983, Alan Drazen, a manager at Jack and Jill in Moorestown, invented the Choco Taco. He said he was inspired by the boom in Mexican food and thought that the taco shape could bring something new to the ice cream business, and boy, was he on to something. Now, sadly, and to the dismay of many people, Choco Tacos were actually discontinued in 2022 after nearly 40 years, bringing to a close an extremely delicious chapter in ice cream history. But of course, I was excited to learn that one of my favorite companies, Nutty and Nostalgic, who make recreated versions of your favorite discontinued junk foods from the 80s and 90s, has their own version of the Choco Taco, and of course, I had to try it for myself. So, let's get into it. Okay, here's what it looks like. As you can see, there is a vanilla ice cream flavored cashew butter with chunks of waffle cone, crushed peanuts, and of course, fudge icing. But now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Wow. Okay, really good. All of the different elements are there flavor-wise, though I will say, no matter how tasty this is, it's always going to be extremely difficult to recreate the sensation of ice cream using a nut butter. I also think the ratio is slightly off here, just a little too heavy on the fudge icing and chopped nuts, but overall I did still find this to be extremely enjoyable. So I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 stars, and while this might not be a perfect substitute for the Choco Taco, it is definitely a solid homage. And yeah, there you have it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that about does it for episode 5. Thank you so much for checking me out. And just remember that while there is a ton of delicious junk food out there in the world, nothing tastes sweeter than nostalgia. As always, my name is Leo Francis, and I hope to see you back here soon.